and private primary schools. Do you see any hope of that kind?
First of late, unlike very few government-aided schools, we have seen private schools this time taking over when it comes to the brilliance of the results. That's the reason as to why, in most cases, these students, I should say,
the pupils,
these learners, mostly you see parents, they are taking them to these private schools because they know that of late, the results in the private schools, they are surpassing those ones in government.
Quite true, quite true.
What does it mean? Does it mean government-aided schools, they are dying? Is one thing, of course, we need to put in the platform. And also another thing here is, I remember some 2 days ago, I was discussing with some of the candidates. We talk about, when we talk about candidates, we are actually talking about
the finalists. The finalists. Let's call them the finalists.
In general terms, the finalists. Actually, they were sharing with me the experience they had when they were actually sitting for these mock papers, and how, of course, they have performed. When the papers were actually distributed, they said it has not been something easy, not only for 1 or 2 students, but for entire students. But what I can tell you is, for example, out of 100 candidates in a class, at least, let me say, in percentage of around 20 to 30 there, they can be able to produce a very good result. But as the country at large, of course, mock is in every part of the country.
And usually people say mock is there to mock, but is it really the saying? Should we believe in that? But that is one thing also really which Benson we need to have a look into. Yeah, exactly. Because the last time I sat mock exams, I think it is now getting close to 10 years. I last sat my senior 6, I think 2017, and this is where you count how many days, how many years have gone by now. That means, Benson, there's really a lot that we need to also really ensure as parents in terms of seeing how our learners also really may be performing. Because if you look at how the results are going to be released, our learners are always not performing well. And that is one thing also which at times perturbs me, because you realize that the learners, let's say the pupils and the students at large, because mock is being done by primary 7 candidates for primary level, and for senior 4 and senior 6, that is for the candidate classes. And this is where you can be able to assess yourself, because if you perform slightly better in mocks, there are rare scenarios, Benson, there are rare scenarios where you excel in mocks and fail at UNEB. No. First,
it's true, the journey starts from preliminary exams, it goes to that.
There's a chain.
Then to the final papers, which of course is called UNEB. That means if you can be in position to perform very well in preliminary exams and also in mock, at least you put a fair performance. Obviously, at the end of everything in final exams called UNEB, you can be able to generate a fair result. Now, what kind of message can we pass to the parents? Can we pass to the teachers? Can we pass to the learners?
You know, the message now we are to pass on to these different key players is that mocks are mocks. True. They have gone by. There's nothing you are going to be changing about the mock results, but you can still change UNEB, because UNEB is still what is coming ahead of you. If you performed poorly in mocks, let's say you got maybe Division U, you can still change that to Division 1 and Division 2. We have seen it happen. Yeah. Based on people who sat PLE mock results, some of them perform poorly. But at the end of the day, due to extra hard work, due to commitment, we saw them excelling, because mock is to test your ability and how ready you are for the final examinations. That is why it is called mock examinations. It is an assessment that is to determine whether you are ready, but it should not determine whether you have passed or not. And this is where, for those learners who have not performed very well, and this is my message to them, because I do not say others may get demoralized by today. The message parents should be giving their children on this day is that if your learner performed badly, please do not discourage them, do not demoralize them, rather encourage them to work extra harder, give them the support. And this within these remaining days, because if you look at PLE, it is usually in November. We're in September already today. Today happens to be around the 18th. How many days are we counting down? It means that we are counting less than 40 days. That is where we need to sort of have an impact on how our learners are performing. Because if you look at the remaining 30 days, they only have like October. By November, they will be sitting for the examination, and that is where we need to sort of now have time with the learners.
First, it is true, starting from P7s, candidates from primary. For them, they are left with a month and some weeks.
Even the senior 4 candidates, even the senior 4s.
For senior 4 candidates, I am told that they are actually commencing with their exams on the 13th of next month. We are talking about the month of October. For senior 6 candidates, we are aware that normally for them, they sit in November. Now, what does the results in mock means to all the candidates, does it mean that it determines who you are, how you have been performing? That is the first thing. And I mentioned the point here about the parents, about the learners themselves, and also the teachers who have been behind these students. Like if a person has let me say a candidate has failed maybe more, does it mean that the candidate will not be in a position to perform in the final exams? And if he or she passes, what message does it mean when a person... So there are so many things that, of course, you will want to pass to you as far as the results of mock is concerned. As we had said earlier on, when it comes to mock, it's always something terrible when it comes to the final results. But what we can say is, it's not the end of the journey.
Yes.
You can still pick it from zero.
Okay, my message to the both private and government-aided primary schools is that these mocks don't determine who you are.
True.
You will still excel. Benson, I want to give you a scenario last year when Arua City released the mock results. I want to assure you the best candidate came from a government-aided primary school. Can you imagine beating all the private primary schools? But of course, the best results were from the private primary schools. So it means working extra harder is what is called for ahead of the remaining days. We want to see you excel. We want to see everybody pass.
First, let's try to do some comparisons here. You talk about government-aided schools from private sector, and you talk about government-aided schools in secondary sector. The fact remains, government-aided schools in primary sector, they are dying when it comes to putting good performances. At least government-aided schools...
But do you know why that is happening? Do you know why that is happening?
Of course, that's...
Try interact with the owners or the proprietors of the private primary schools. They are giving a lot of time to have the learners work harder. They are giving the convenient environment. Look at the private primary schools. Right now, move to some of the private primary schools, you realize that the classes are already full.
True.
Then try to move the government primary schools. You realize that they're still struggling to have the numbers. It means parents need to have mindset change that these first days of the term are actually very much crucial. They do not mean nothing. People must report to school on these days. Then if you are also really got these government-aided primary schools and ask the head teachers why their performances are declining each and every term, the answer will always be that the private primary schools go for fishing, and I want to agree to that. They go sporting for their best candidates. If a candidate, let's say from primary 1 to primary 6 is performing number 1, in most cases you rather they go and sit for PLE on bursary from the nearby private primary schools. So at the end of the day, they give first grades for these primary schools. And this is the reality I also want to believe with the teachers of this government, the private primary schools. Personally, that is something which I felt last year because I tried asking, because me, by person, I'm a product of UPs, I'm a product of UP, I must say this proudly. I went through UP schools. I went to Arab primary school, went to Arabic. You realize that when I was there, it was really not how the schools are performing today. Today, the performances have gone down. If you have to make comparisons of how these schools, let's look at the private primary school, government private primary schools in Arua. The performances have immensely declined today. So if you try to interact, what is happening, the teachers will always give you these answers. That first of all, the private primary schools are playing a great role in taking the cream. So they go for spotting these candidates to sit for them, and at the end of the day, these candidates register first grades in the names of these private primary schools. So what does that mean? It means these government-aided primary schools are left to struggle, and that is why you will realize that performance, when it comes to performances, they have to polish what they have because their cream sometimes have gone. So it goes back to the parents. Let's have trust in this government-aided primary schools.
First, this brings us to the other part of the movie, talking about the secondary sector. Still, to me, according to my own assessment, the government-aided schools in secondary sector, they have surpassed the performance of private schools in the secondary sector, and they still continue to surpass. You talk about some of the schools like Diofe Girls, St. Joseph's College, Ombati.
They are doing brilliantly. That is in Arua City.
Talk about Mbara Senior Secondary School. Talk about Arua Public Senior Secondary School.
But
why is it that?
Let's look at this now at the national level. Let's look at it at the national level. Today we have schools, I wouldn't want to go into names, but today we have private primary schools that are extremely doing well. These are government-aided secondary schools. Yes, they are doing well, but the private secondary schools are as well doing pretty much better jobs. Let's look at how they are giving bursaries to the learners. They come to these regions. This is something which is happening. I can testify. They come to these regions and get these learners who excelled in PLE. They give them bursaries, something of which our schools are not doing. And at the end of the day, Benson, the performances are always amazing for these private secondary schools. So what does that mean? It means our schools must favorably compete. If we are not going to favorably compete, then definitely that is where we are going to be not also really talking about comparisons when it comes to results of the private and government-aided schools.
Okay, which strategy can be employed to see that we balance the performances both in the private?
First of all, it goes back to the stakeholders.
Yeah, true.
As parents, let's have trust in our schools. Let's have trust in our institutions. Instead of taking away our learners from the government-aided schools, why don't we support the private? Why don't we support the government-aided schools? Look at the UP schools. Most of them are struggling with infrastructure, with furniture. You realize that they are really struggling because they don't have enough resources. And with the private schools, the resources are always at their disposal. They buy them because they understand that it's business. So it means government, teachers, the learners, we must love the schools so that they also really get to perform. Because if I'm not going to support my own school, then you're not going to perform. And that goes back to you as the OBs of these schools. Why don't you go back and find out what is happening? As all students, why don't we find out what is really happening so that we get to uplift the performances? Benson, really today, I want to also really give you an example. Today, if you have to compare performances of government and private schools for both primary and secondary, you will realize that performances at the primary level for government-aided schools has gone down.
It's true.
What is the reason and how can we uplift? Because Benson, by the time I was sitting for primary, we had learners who got aggregate 6, aggregate 4. Today, hardly you hear of such stories. The best candidate you hear will always be like aggregate 8, aggregate 7. And yet people could also just be around 5, 6, 7, which is really totally different from what's happening today. It means there's something the government-aided primary schools should be able to sort of find out where they're not doing it well.
But it's also one thing, I think the current generation, our generation, like me and you, I can often tell that we studied in government-aided schools. And flashing it back to our parents. Our parents also studied in government-aided schools because by then, schools were very rare and private schools were not there. I think one thing we need to do is sensitization of masses about government-aided schools. And parents also, I should say, the population at large, public at large, including the stakeholders, they need to eliminate that ideology that of late private schools, they are the best. If you still continue with the ideology that if you want your kid to perform very well, if you want your child to perform very well, unless you take him or her to a private school, of course, the saga will still continue that of late in government-aided schools, learners cannot perform very well. What I want to say in summary is let's eliminate that ideology that private schools of late, they have surpassed government-aided schools in performance.
We are not here to spoil the business for private, primary and secondary schools, but we are saying all in all, we want a favorable competition where learners in these schools should be able to compete amongst themselves, and that calls for mindset change. We earlier on talking about mindset change. And today, if you move to these schools and ask, why don't the learners perform like how we did? The answer will always be that at least you people we are self-driven. Unlike today, where the learners have to be pushed. And this is a challenge which government-aided schools are facing today, and they're also encountering a lot when it comes to that, because the learners need to be pushed. And today, based on if you move in the villages, you realize some of the people who are supposed to be in school are still loitering within the areas. It means mindset change is indeed crucial when it comes to addressing this issue here. Benson, we're going to be leaving that story aside. And yesterday, Benson, government came out to announce that they're going to be extending the closure of Karuma Bridge totally for another 3 months. And remember, the huge vehicles have not been passing through this road. They have been using Pakwach, and they have been also asked to continue using the other road at a time where people are expecting for the reopening of this bridge. What do you think about it? Where the Minister of Works and Transport, General Edward Wamala Katumba, has announced the closure of this Karuma Bridge, which is something which we did see happening yesterday, and this time around it is for all traffic, unlike where other small vehicles were allowed to pass. This time around it is closed totally to allow renovations already of this bridge. What do you think about the re-extension of this Karuma Bridge works?
first of all, the public is looking at the two aspects here. The positivity part of it and also the negativity part of it.
The negative goes back.
The positivity part of it might be minimum, but also the negativity part of it might be so many. First of all, extending the period. What does it mean to the public? It is meaning in several ways. Like it has been extended to around the 3 months. That means public, of course, will be losing a lot. How will they lose? It is in so many ways. Because, you know, the bridge alone bridges that gap, and it has been providing that linkage in terms of trade. Now that the period has been extended, that means the public, of course, will be losing a lot in terms of revenue, because the linkage, of course, the standstill still continues. Then on the other side, coming to the positivity part of it, you know, it has been a dangerous thing.
Dangerous spot where people have lost lives.
Yeah, where people have lost lives. That means government, of course, is looking for a way of how they can be able to curb the stress on such that maybe in case of anything.
You know, Benson, earlier this year, around May, government came out to announce closure of this bridge to allow renovations for buses and trailers. The trailers and buses were actually urged to use, that is the Para-Machison Falls Road. And that is how the drivers have been also using it. And this is, remember, the road that connects northern Uganda at large, that is to other parts of the country. Because if you look at central Uganda, it is through the Karuma Bridge that northern Uganda is actually connected. And now they have been urged to use alternative roads, and this will also really be to allow renovations and repairs on this bridge. Because if you look at underneath, we're able to see how engineers moved under the bridge. You realize that it had developed cracks, meaning it was also like a time bomb that needs to be also developed here. And you earlier on talked about the positives and the negatives. And if you look at the positives, yes, they are long-term and they may take longer, but we need it. Because if you look at the Karuma Bridge, earlier on we talked about it, there has been a death trap. We have seen vehicles plunging into the river. We have seen people dying, and people also really dying without their bodies being retrieved. So it means really building this bridge will be very well. But Benson, I can assure you that this bridge is not going to be developed like how we thought it should be developed. Because if you look at the Pakwach Bridge, at least it's quite good. What do you think?
Right now, I think it is a rush hour, because public right now, they are demanding a lot, such that they are demanding that the whole process has to be done, such that the business continues as usual. And then on the other side, you cannot, something of that kind, you cannot pressurize people, you cannot pressurize the contractors that we need to do business, we need to move, you hurry. No.
Yes, Benson, yes, the people who are suffering here the most are people who are into transport business, those who are in the travel business. For instance, those operating buses, the trailers, and the taxis, because they have been urged to use alternative roads. And according to the UNRA spokesperson, that is Mr. Alan Sempebwa, this exercise is going to be taking 3 months. And within the 3 months, this is when we expect the works to be done. And remember, earlier on, I mentioned in the middle of this year, around May, government came out to actually announce the temporary close of this bridge. And now this is a period where we're expecting for the reopening, and then we are again seeing it being extended. What does that mean to those who are in the travel business? Because for them, they said, much as they were urged to use the longer routes, the transport fares remain the same. And the fuel consumption again did shoot up. It means they're encountering losses. Today we are going to be also removing and seeing some of them. I really want to show you. You will hear the challenges.
First, it is very true when it comes to business-wise. Of course, it has been affected. Everyone knows that. And normally, it has been a culture here in the country when it comes to government projects like this. The project cannot end in that specific period that has been allocated. We have always seen government
extensions.
Extensions.
So what will be your prayer this time around when it comes to Karuma Bridge works? Because this is a re-extension now.
This is a public thing, and we have discussed a lot, and it has killed entirely the business in the entire country. Because I remember you said, everyone also knows that this is a bridge that provides a linkage for Western Nile region, or as it connects the northern region to the other parts of the country. Now you are doing a re-extension. How will people be in person at the end? How will you bring the minds of people to believe in what you are doing? knowing that it's something for the public every day, every time. How many vehicles are using the bridge?
Okay.
Now you are doing the re-extension. I think this is something they need to rework on, such that in the near future things can be.
Okay, for those coming from Kampala heading to northern Uganda, for instance, to Gulu and West Nile, you have been urged to use the Luero Kafu Masindi Para Road, and that is to connect to Pakwach or Gulu via Olwiro, and that is where also really for those who are planning to move from here as well, that is the route you're going to be using. Meanwhile, for those heading to Lira, you have been urged to use, that is the Rwenkunye Apache route via Masindi, that is via Port Ferry, while you will be using that to travel. And you have also really been urged to use alternatively the road that is passing via Iganga, Nakalama, Tiringi, Palisa, Kumi, Soroti Road. This is the road that connects to Mbali, and this is where they have been urged to use that road. It means as the works are going on, these are the alternative routes you can be using. But most of the people who are in the travel business have actually raised concern that the routes have become longer. But the transport fares have not changed because they cannot change their fares. And today, Benson, trust me, you would rather the buses are actually leaving earlier than they expected. Because today you hardly see night buses, and most of them have to travel at least earlier on. Then that means there's something, Benson, we need to do.
First, one aspect here, it is in the contrary way, it is an ironical way, is when you look at the other route, which they are using right now, and you compare it with the previous route, Karuma route, the ironical part of it comes this way. The other side, you look at these road vendors, the other side, they are not benefiting because the bridge is in a standstill. Then on the other side, street vendors are benefiting because what we know, what we grew in, these street vendors, they always earn a lot because these people who are using public.
By the way, as we're talking about street vendors, most of them are crying of losses today. Most of those who are at Karuma. Remember that stretch where usually the buses park? Because if you go to Kampala, at least in most cases, some of the buses park at Karuma. Even the small vehicles find a way of parking at Karuma, just along that area where the dam is being constructed. That town has today boosted, where people buy chicken, where people buy cassava, where people buy maize. In most cases, when we go to Kampala, if we stop there, usually one of the things that I would love to buy always is maize, because the maize on that side, really, Benson, I want to assure you, has always been nice. And then it means those people are now encountering losses because you cannot go and do business in the park. You'll be eaten up by the wild animals. And today, as alternative sources of the route, people are now asked to use, that is, pass via the park. So it means those who have been doing business at Karuma, for now, I must say, they are being kicked off. It means there's nothing they are going to be doing because that business that used to boom there was because people used to pass there. The buses, the small vehicles used to pass there. It was their route. So it means right now, they are not going to be into business. The business has, for now, left them. So I think there's need for government to expedite the process of working on this bridge instead of also really taking money, maybe the estimated 3 months. Why don't we do it in the 2 months and make sure the work is done, and so that we have trust in government process and government works in there, because many times, Benson, people are now losing trust in both government and private works, because a project will be estimated to take 3 months, but we see re-extensions. And what does this re-extension mean? That is to the final user of these roads or the taxpayer, because this is money sometimes that is being gotten from taxpayers. So I think there's really need for government to expedite this process. Instead of taking the 3 months estimated, let's utilize less than that, or else let's work within a stipulated period of time. Because if you look at these contracts, in most cases, we really see the times being extended and the delays are always there. But this time around, we are hopeful that UNRWA will do this work within this re-extended period. And Benson, by the way, remember, government has plans to also rebuild this bridge to the level of that of Karuma, that is at Owen Falls Dam. Because if you look at that Ginger City Bridge, it's actually quite nice and interesting. And government already has plans to build the Karuma Bridge to that level, because, Benson, if you look at the Karuma Bridge today, it is a death trap. Where if you lose control while on that bridge, you're no more, because you're going to be falling into the water, and because the guardrails are really that weak. If you look at the guardrails along the bridge, Benson, trust me, there's no way that those guards are going to protect you. Even if you're moving on a motorcycle, so long as you're in high speed, you are going to be plunging into the river. That's why we have seen vehicles falling, trailers are in there, buses are in there, small vehicles are in there. So it means really there's something that we need to do when it comes to rehabilitating this bridge. And my appeal would be that let government get money and we build this bridge to to the level of that of Owen Falls Dam, or else at least look like that of Pakwach. So that when accidents happen, of course we do not pray for accidents. These are sudden and unexpected happenings. That is from my primary definition of SST when it comes to accidents. So those are sudden unexpected happenings, but we are saying sometimes we can be able to solely save the lives, because if you build the bridge with strong guardrails, then people will be able to solely be, maybe protect their lives themselves from accidents. Maybe people will get injured. Instead of falling in the water and drowning, they will not be drowning, but of course, at the end of the day, that will be very, very much well. But for now, government is yet saying we are just doing repairs and renovations as we look forward to building that bridge to the level, maybe to that of Ginger City. So what do you really think about this whole bridge as we get summarized with? Because we just left it about 3 minutes to wind up with the discussions. I mean, 1 minute actually.
Okay, first talking about government projects. You know, there are so many government projects that are always implemented. Others, of course, public may want the outcome quickly, like the one which is under process of construction, that is under the process of renovation rather. We are talking about Karuma. And there are some government projects, even if they do extensions, public of course will not cry out for its completion. Like some of the government projects may be in health sector, you talk about in maybe education sector. There are some schools that have been constructed for 3 years, but public is quiet about it. But some of the government projects, like I said earlier on, the one which is undergoing renovation right now, is something which is public needs each and every day, each and every time, like the renovation of the bridge. There is no any other way you are going to convince public that the renovation, like, let me say an example. You had fixed 3 months and the process was not completed in that 3 months. You have extended it for another 3 months. Still, it's under renovation, and you are going to convince public again that let's add 4 months. There is no need that public, the masses, will accept that, okay, the period expired, now 3 months have been added, it also elapsed, they have added. No, maybe in other sectors, but something like a bridge, renovation of bridge, or construction of a bridge, which provides that linkage for people. Of course, you cannot be doing an extension each and every time. So what I can say is, public, of course, will still have to be calm, provided there is another alternative they are utilizing right now. Okay. Because I did say earlier on, it depends on the nature of the work. Like this one to be done with a very huge bridge. That one is not even a mere bridge. That one is a huge bridge, which of course needs thorough work to be done. It doesn't need the rough work to be done, because it will also look as a scene, like if this work is done within the estimated period, and at the end, of course, it doesn't stay for a longer period of time. What I can say to the general public is they have been suffering because of the cracks, and almost the bridge is down. Let's give government that period, that grace period to work on it. And also governments will understand that this is something public uses each and every minute. Now they should not delay it like how they have been delaying it in other sectors like health, like school. Because like when you delay a project in the education sector, like
based on our time is up, we are going to be taking a short commercial break, and that is where we shall be continuing the discussions when it comes to Karuma Bridge. Because Benson, really, you realize that a lot of people have said a lot also about this same bridge. So it means government should also really hit the demands of the taxpayers, so that also really we build this road very, very much well. Because if you talk about the taxpayers, I mean those who are in the travel business, how much money do they pay in terms of taxes to the government? We take a short commercial break. When we get back, we are going to continue with that discussion. But if you have anything you want to say about this discussion, you can as well utilize our comment section. My name is Wallace Majid. I'm still with Dr. Benson Pastore. Stay tuned.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
Vinicius Jr., Lamine Yamal, Antoine Griezmann. La Liga comes to Star Times.
A wild celebration!
The big stars, the tiki-taka football, Real Madrid and Barcelona live in your living room.
Real Madrid, the team of dreams!
Catch all 380 games live and in HD on Sports Premium Channel 259 and Channel 246 starting this August 15th. Subscribe to StarTimes Classic or Smart Bouquet at 36,000 Uganda shillings to enjoy the football experience affordably. StarTimes Football and limited passion.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
Welcome back from the short commercial break. We are back with the KOKOLIRIKO live show on West Nile TV. It's a great pleasure having you on board this morning, and that's also really where we are still discussing on issues happening in our country and also in our communities as well. And earlier on, we were talking about the issue of close of Karuma Bridge, which will be commencing, of course, effective from Monday. It means on Monday, we are not going to be seeing any vehicle, whatever the size or whatever the kind, crossing the Karuma Bridge, unlike previously where other small vehicles would be allowed to cross over the same bridge. And now the extension comes at a time where government is undertaking what it calls repairs also on this bridge that has lived for a longer period of time. It means it has actually lived its edges. Now rehabilitating it is actually quite good, because underneath you will see that there are cracks down there. So that's why government is coming up to also really make sure that they rebuild it. And Benson, earlier on we were talking about the re-extension. What do you really think about this issue finally as we get moved to another story?
Okay, first, one challenge I am looking forward is, some people, they are always not next to information. Some people might not be aware of the extension, as they might not be aware that the whole session has now been blocked, whereas has come to a standstill. Whatever a person is coming from any other place may want to pass there and find things not now as usual. That is one challenge, of course, I am looking forward. That the negativity part of it is there, the positivity part of it is there. And to the people who are along the route which currently people are using, they are benefiting, because developmental-wise, they are developing. And also on the other sector of trade,
they are boosting.
It is also favoring them. Meanwhile, on the other side, people who have been using people who are along the previous route, who have been doing maybe businesses, like benefiting via businesses, now they are suffering. In fact, they have started suffering. That's why I'm saying, I think the equation is balanced, because the other sector has benefited. Now,
the other one has lost.
The other one is losing. So that balance is there. I think on the other side, people who are along the path of the other one, they will continue to pray that the extension, of course, will have to be done again and again, such that they continue to benefit. Meanwhile, on the other side, people who are along the other path, they will continue to pray that the project, of course, has to come to completion quickly, such that
they can get back into business. Okay, Benson, that's where we are going to be leaving as other story in relation to Karuma side. But yesterday, Benson, on the national story, we are able to already see councillors of Kampala exchanging blows, and this is where we did see a pandemon also erupting. That's at the City Council Hall earlier yesterday during a council meeting, as frustration spilled over the City Executives Committee's failure to deliver a crucial report on solid waste management. And what we saw was councillors exchanging blows. And now the session intended to also really address critical issues plaguing the capital descended into chaos, where the Executive Committee could not present a much anticipated plan. That's for handling Kampala's garbage growing crisis. And Benson, this is what we did see yesterday. And now the report had been also expected to be outline a comprehensive strategy that is to tackle the mounting piles of garbage affecting numerous parts of the city. And Mr. President Benson, what we saw in Chitezi was actually garbage killing people. And today some of the areas do not even want to see garbage trucks passing via the area because they know garbage can kill. And now the councillors wanted to debate about this issue. But when the committee failed to present this plan, what we saw was chaos.
One thing I have to say is...
Was the chaos called for?
Extending fight, or as things written to the extent of chaos, is not the best way of sorting out the things. But on the other side, when you have seen things...
Benson, do you know what it reminded me of? Okay. The times of the Toji Kwatako, when we did see the honorables exchanging blows, where we were able to pick stools. And yesterday we were able to see similar scenarios, but this time around at council level.
That's why I am saying that that's not the best way of sorting out the things. But on the other side, when the things now reach to the extent of exchanging blows, or as reaches to the extent of wrangles of that kind, that means something is not working out. Something is paining people. The only thing, of course, they will have to do is the executive committee, the people in the council, of course, will have to sit down, solve the issue in an amicable way, because now extending blows, because masses, public, of course, they will be thinking that now if your leaders are failing, if your leaders are now into such kind of wrangles, what next? Of course, they will now fail to believe in you. However much you talk to the masses, now things are going to be like this. Don't worry, this is how we are going to do it. If this information reaches to the masses, to the public, to the community members, obviously there is no any other way you are going to convince them that this one will work, we are going to sit like this, this is how we are going to do it. Because normal, when something reaches to the extent of fighting, even in our families, if a father reaches to the extent of fighting with the mother, kids of course will know that now here things may not work out. I think the only thing they will have to do is they will have to really just sit down.
So Benson, really, if you look at the issue of garbage today, you realize that Kampala is actually choking on garbage. And recently we saw garbage killing people. So is that really a reason as to why we could see the councillors eagerly waiting for the presentation of this report? And when the committee failed to present, people had to express their anger about the plans of garbage management. Let's talk about the issue that happened in Chitezi. The negative implication of it was that the areas where garbage had to be dumped as an option could not allow garbage to be dumped in there. And then that means today garbage remains a challenge, and Kampala generates heavy tons of garbage on daily. So it means dealing with the issue of garbage is actually very much crucial. And earlier on yesterday, I was here with the Honorable Sanya, the mayor for KOKOLIRIKO municipality. He actually talked about how challenging garbage is. Basically, I want to show you that to the local governments, the issue of garbage handling is actually very, very much crucial. So it means individual responsibility is key here. Let's not leave the issues of garbage management to councils. It must start right away from our homes.
Yeah, first it is very true when it comes to garbage management. People are always blaming government, people are always blaming government council, but I can confirm to you, like my colleague has said, the issue of garbage management, it starts with you. You know, there are different kinds of garbages. That is the reason as to why we are saying that it starts with you. Why are we saying that there are different kinds of garbages? There are some garbages which can even be managed by a family. But there are some which of course can't be managed by a family. It needs council to come and manage it. And in most cases, these things, in most cases, most of the kinds of the garbages, they are actually coming from houses. Can't you be in person to manage that one? Which of course maybe you tend to dump maybe at the roadside or whatever. Can't you be able to manage that one? If families, if households can be in person to manage that one, of course, the issue of garbage management that is supposed to be handled by the council, of course, can be minimized. Because the way I am seeing, most of the garbages, they are coming from indoor, they are coming from households. I think the only thing they need to do is public masses, of course, will have to be sensitized about the issue of garbage management. And at the same time, council, of course, will also, like, still talking about sensitizing the masses about the issue of garbage management. You need to bring community members together and you sensitize them. How do you manage garbages, and also what kind of garbages you can be in position to manage, rather than also diverting the whole blame on council. So that is what I can say.
Okay, leaving that story aside, yesterday we had the council sitting, of course, which I must say was quite interesting because I was able to follow parliamentary sitting yesterday. And really, if you look at what's happening from Parliament, and today I want to show you the papers, the Deputy Speaker of Parliament has also really raised alarms over the overconsumption of what we call the sambusas and snacks in general, and he has also raised the alarm that he will be banning the consumption of sambusa and mandazis plus chapati within the parliamentary premises, raising concern of health. And this is one thing we did yesterday, where Tawaba's remarks also comes also after time calls for several members of parliament urging colleagues to prioritize health checkups following the passing on of the State Minister for Defense and Veteran Affairs, who also succumbed to heart-related complications at Mengo, and former Commissioner of Parliament Elijah Okupa voiced his concerns over the health of MPs, referencing the systems also already in place with previous parliaments. And so today, really, is it right time, is it rightly for us to ban the consumption of snacks? For instance, sumbusas, chapatis, and mandazis within the parliamentary premises over health. And that is one thing which the Deputy Speaker has raised concern of.
Some of these issues, they look funny, but that is the reality. It depends on, I don't think it happens with every...
So what does that say about the lifestyle of our members of parliament? Because this is where people think they are not to consume these things here.
That's why I'm saying the whole saga looks funny. But it depends on how you are brought up and how you
intend to live your life.
Brought up, how you are nurtured, and how you live your life. But me, it looks the same, revealing such kind of things. Like you are revealing such kind of thing to public, and yet the public, the masses outside
are looking up to.
They are expecting something which is developmental, and at the end you are revealing such kind of things. And of course, what does it put the whole of parliamentary premises?
So just paint that image now. We are seated here. But let's imagine, let's draw the picture now of how members of parliament are busy chewing sambusa and chapatis within the parliamentary premises.
I expected them to reveal us, talk about something developmental, maybe. At least the Sulse yesterday in the parliamentary sitting, we discussed about the roads, we discussed about...
Yes, of course, all those issues were discussed. Benson,
we were discussing about such kind of things, of course.
That is a warning. That is a warning also coming from the Deputy Speaker of Parliament, saying he is going to be banning that. Because if you look at the members of Parliament's health, in most times, due to consumption of those things within Parliament, it is raising issues of health.
Maybe they don't concentrate, because when speech is going on and here you are eating, and I think there are some things they are trying to hide. If they are saying health-wise, what is wrong with eating those things? It depends on where you are eating, and like me, what I can say in summary is, you are for a business, you need to first mean the business, you come for those things later. Maybe when you are attending to someone, on the other side you are eating, of course.
But what we are saying is, they are not eating from the parliament chambers. Person, this is where people also need to have it. Because if somebody is going to be relying on sumbusas, these snacks, remember, are not also ready to make you forgo lunch. But recently we saw members of parliament complaining about the price of food at Parliament. This is something we didn't see. It is not also really rocket science, and this is something we had. Them raising concern of the plate.
This is a laughing matter. It is a laughing matter. Even a person who is deep from the village, who is a farmer, who doesn't understand English, if someone goes on to explain this one to him or her, it becomes a laughing matter. That means our
but members of parliament are just like us. These are human beings who also really feel maybe the pinch of the economy as well.
They are like us, but they are representing us. Where they are sitting, they are not like...
Are they not like you? Are they not like you? So you want to say they are not like you?
Physically, they are like us, but mentally, they are different.
Okay, that is where we are going to leave that discussion aside with. And now following the crisis within the Forum for Democratic Change Party, the veterans have chosen to remain neutral on this matter in here. And remember, FDC Katonga faction is actually undergoing a process of having a new political party. And now the disintegration of the Forum for Democratic Change Party into two factions of the Najana, Nkumbi and Katonga is now also inching towards the potential creation of yet another offshoot. Now that is another political party that is of the People's Front, that is for Freedom, abbreviated as the PFF, which is being started by some of the veterans and some of the stronghold, also the former leaders of the Forum for Democratic Change. Now the unfolding crisis now is stretching close to a year and has been also really unraveling like a tightly wound ball of also the thread in there. Many people have actually chosen to remain neutral about this. If you look at the FDC veterans, most of those people started it. Many of them cannot talk about the creation of the new political party, or they cannot also open up on whether they are remaining under FDC. Nathan Nkumbi, what do you really think about this mess ahead of 2026? Because we are counting less than 15 months now to the next general elections. What do you think is likely to happen within the camps of the opposition? Because we are counting less than 15 months to the next general elections, but we are seeing this kind of issues still going on, where at a time where we expect them now to be solidifying their support ahead of 2026. What do you think about the opposition in 2026?
The move is becoming as a drama. First of all, for your political party to sell, it depends on what kind of people who are behind it, who are constructing it, and also the brand alone, the name of the political party matters also.
Okay.
Like you have said, they are trying to come up with something
People's Front Force.
People's Front Force.
People's Front for Freedom.
People's Front for Freedom. Just you look at that one word, freedom. People's Front for Freedom. That brand alone, of course, will sell.
Is it catchy?
It is very catchy. First of all, just to look at it, how it has been constructed, how it has been rebranded. People's Front for Freedom. And that is something which people have been yearning for. Much as in the country we have freedom, but people still continue to feel that there are some rights that have been violated. That term alone, freedom, of course, to me, to some extent, will sell the political party, the brand part of it. Now coming to the people who are behind it, can they be able to strategize it? Can they be able to construct and build it very well? You can come up with their brand. How do you manage the brand? And who are the people behind the brand is another thing. And also the third thing is, now this one now comes the other part of it, which of course may make people not to believe much in the political party. These are people who have been under one umbrella. Now they are splitting themselves.
And remember, other political parties are busy strategizing for mobilization, because we have seen buying new cars, and these cars are within the constituencies, as others are also really undertaking, because recently we also saw UPC rolling out their mass registration.
For you are splitting. That might be the negativity part of it. That might be one of the reasons.
So where does that put the ruling government at? Let's compare the opposition with the NRM now.
And this one gives numerous advantages to the ruling party right now, NRM, cause for them.
But we're also seeing other new also waves emerging from the NRM, like the PLU.
They are emerging, you know, like being on power, you are still controlling the steering. That's what I should say. You are the driver. And if your competitors, they are coming, they are splitting, they are doing things like this, of course, it gives advantage.
To add more gear.
Add more gear. That means right now, the ruling party, NRM government, is on high gear. They still have the advantage, because people whom they are looking at as competitors, they are splitting. I think right now, even in 2026 elections, the stiff competitor to NRM will still remain Noob.
So what do you think about PLU? Because for now it is yet pressure group.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, we have seen all these political parties just starting the same way PLU is emerging. What do you think?
PLE, I should say, is like a brother to NRM.
A baby brother.
A brother to, I should say, the younger brother to NRM. That is the best term I think I can use. And he's still a teenage brother. I don't think can be a stiff competitor to NRM. Me, I was only looking at NUP and also FDC. But with the current things that are happening at FDC, I think NUP will remain. But NUP, if NRM is also not serious, I think anytime NUP matches, they still look at a teenage, they still look as if the teenage political party. But me, I can say they have matured. The only thing remaining for NUP party is to strategize a lot. So it will be a dramatic encounter coming 2026. But on the other side of FDC, I don't think there will be.
Remember, this is going to be another political breakaway from FDC because ANT was initially started by people who were under FDC. They went away and started ANT, the likes of Mugisha Muntu, who were under FDC, and also removed some leadership. And now we are going to be seeing another breakaway because if you saw FDC, I will mention names like Asena Wadri, I mentioned names like very many who actually were instrumental leaders and the Forum for Democratic Change. So when they went away and started ANT, I believe that weakened FDC, and the outcome was what we saw in the last general elections, where the main opposition group was actually NUP. Because I believe it in one way or the other played a role in weakening Forum for Democratic Change party. And I believe the breakaway of the PFF from FDC is actually going to be further weakened, that is Forum for Democratic Change. But we are following up on this matter. We hope this also will be another issue that will be showing.
Honestly, maybe in 20 seconds, this one, of course, will also give advantage to the other party. That's NUP, because NUP, they were also looking at FDC.
But they also have issues within themselves, because if you look at NUP, there are also challenges in there, where the likes of the group of Matthias Mpuga cannot hardly sit also with the party principle. So there are issues also within the opposition. So I think there's really a lot. And we are following up on this matter until the last drop. So, Benson, I hope also the way you are also really explaining here, the councillor must not be worried because the area councillor who is representing you may be worried that Benson, the way he's talking, really, I hope he's not going to be unseating me, but I hope you're not also planning to unseat him so. So I think Benson, leaving that story aside, yesterday was a parliamentary sitting, which I must say was quite interesting because I started watching it right from the start. And one person who impressed me is Alioni Odria York, who accused the Speaker of Parliament, Right Honorable Anita Bong, for breaking, that is the ruling, and also the court ruling and parliamentary procedures. And yesterday this happening, where Leonie York Odria, the Member of Parliament for Ringa South, has accused the Speaker of Parliament, Right Honorable Anita Bong, of disregarding both court rulings and parliamentary procedures. And speaking during a heated debate session, Leonie criticized, that is also the Speaker of Parliament for failing to reinstate, that is the Francis Zake, that's the Mitiana Member of Parliament, also for coming back as the parliamentary commissioner despite a court ruling in Zake's favor. It means Zake was not also reinstated. That is where we did see Leonie Odria feeling very much bad. And remember, the likes of Leonie Odria, together with Theodore Sechkubo, have actually been leading a petition that is to have the 4 backbench commissioners censored over what they termed as corruption. And Benson, I really want to assure you, during the sitting in Gulu, this group was actually rejected. And yesterday, Odria came out to also ask, you stopped us from presenting this in Gulu, saying that we shall present this issue of also the backbench commissioners being censored to Kampala. And now you're stopping us. And yesterday they asked the Deputy Speaker to actually give them a chance to have this matter now being included on the order paper, because if it's not included on the order paper, then the Parliament will not be in position to discuss this. So they are requesting really they are still continuing with their demand to have this matter be included that's on the order paper. What do you think about this demand?
First, I want to start from the regional parliamentary sitting. Everyone thought that regionalizing parliamentary sitting, of course, was going to sort out the things, because sitting national, of course, some MPs, they can fear to speak nationally. Now, regionalizing it, we thought they were going to express themselves better. And now, still at regional level, if some of them are still stopped from expressing themselves, that means there is still a lot to be done. That means there is still a lot to be done. And also, you know, like for Western areas, whenever they hear their MPs speaking in Parliament,
do you know why? It makes them proud because
it is exactly
because it's rare to see our MPs deliberating, taking the floor of Parliament. That is one thing I can freely say without any fear of favor.
Yeah,
but yesterday, Odria has actually been everywhere. Just because he spoke yesterday, people want to hear their MPs talk. People want to hear their MPs speak. And this is what exactly we are sent for, because we're not sending MPs to go and bring for us salt. We're not sending MPs to come and give us money. We are sending MPs to have us represented. And where do they represent us? At the Parliament. So if we don't talk there, we don't expect to talk nowhere.
And how often do they give this salt? When it is the period of campaign. Now, like you have
so, Benson, what do you think about the entire matter of this issue taking longer? Because the deputy speaker actually came out to say that he's yet carrying out consultations on this matter, but this group is not giving up because they raised the required number of signatures, they made the required conditions. Now all what is remaining is for this matter to be included. That's on the other part. And once it is included on the other part, that's when the floor Parliament will actually debate on this matter, where the members of Parliament will now vote either in favor or not in favor of these commissioners. So what do you think about this? Do you think that would address the issue of corruption that we are having in this country?
First, what I know is those are political leaders. They always handle their issues politically. That's why it is called politics. And in politics, people use a lot of things, like logic is also there. And our leaders, they are trying to fight to see that the issue of corruption, of course, is minimized. What I know is corruption cannot be eliminated completely, but it has to be minimized. That's why we are seeing these MPs, they are speaking. And on the other side, I say, hearing our MPs from Western region speaking at the floor of Parliament is always our pride. And what kind of speech do they give is one thing we also consider. Like if MPs like Odria, if they are speaking against corruption, if they are speaking on the behalf of the public, that means it is something. The way I am seeing, the pressure is now beyond. I think in the near future, of course, it will work out because each and every time, if they are pressurizing you of something, you will get tired. Of course, you will let it go. So okay. Let it be now handled. In
so it means Benson is a scholar of that belief, no giving up, and this is exactly what these people who are trying to have this commission has also really been impeached are doing. It means they're not giving any time from now. It means they are continuing and they're determined. And at the end of the day, we expect their matter also to be given an ear and also to be heard if at all this commission has indeed got the money in a corrupt way. Benson, we are going to be taking a short commercial break, and when we return back, we still have lots of stories. And remember, yesterday we did see the Champions League, or what we call the men's night returning. Now men's night has returned. It means those women who have been asking, why are you here? Why do you come late? They should not ask anymore because Champions League has of course returned, and they were able to also really see teams beating others. We shall be having the results later on, but for now we take a short commercial break, and when we return back we are going to be continuing with other stories. My name is Suresh Majid. I'm still with Oracle Benson Pastore. Don't you go anywhere.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
Vinicius Jr., Lamine Yamal, Antoine Griezmann. La Liga comes to Star Times.
A wild celebration!
The big stars, the tiki-taka football, Real Madrid and Barcelona live in your living room.
Real Madrid, a team
Catch all 380 games live and in HD on Sports Premium, Channel 259 and Channel 246. Starting this August 15th. Subscribe to StarTimes Classic or Smart Bouquet at 36,000 Uganda shillings to enjoy the football experience affordably. StarTimes Football and limited passion.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
Welcome back from the short commercial break. We are back into the last half of this morning's discussions, and we are still continuing. And of course, our final destination is 9 o'clock. And at 9, we shall be having the news bulletin in Lubarati with Fete Manuel, and thereafter the Northern Request Hour with Olivia UG together with DJ Jero. Also, will be coming shortly, and thereafter other interesting programs will also be following. And remember, today we shall be also having the Street Talk, Waste of Time, and many other interesting programs. And all that is to keep you first of all informed, educated, and entertained as well. Because as West Nile TV, our #1 goal remains to keep you informed in all levels and all sectors of life. And that is where we always begin off your day with also an informed point of view. And that is where you must always be part of the discussions. That is the morning show of KOKOLIRIKO, where we give you that information that you deserve to also know in there, because an informed person is definitely one that makes informed decisions. And for you to make those informed decisions, definitely need information. And where do you get that information? It is on West Nile TV. Benson, welcome back from the commercial break, and we are back into our final half of the discussions. We are just left with about 24 minutes to wind up with the discussions, and within these remaining minutes, we still have lots more to discuss with you. And Benson, I hope you also really are following up on what is happening within your areas and how the environment is getting tense when it comes to politics. Yeah. How do you assess and how do you see what is happening within your areas, and what kind of maybe message should people have in their manifestos? Because if you look at really some of the pressing issues, what do you think are very pressing in your area that needs to be addressed, and also in the country that needs to be addressed? For me, it is garbage.
Yeah, it's true. In most cases, the issues to be done with the garbage, the urban centers. You know, first, unlike those days of late, people are getting to understand what politics is all about, the real definition of politics. Even teenagers of late, they understand.
Is it still a dirty game like how we used to call it? That brings that question, because I need to understand. Is it still a dirty game?
Politics is not a dirty game. It depends on your mentality about it, and how, of course, the people who are actually manifesting, who are actually aspiring for it, how they handle it. But to me, I'll still eliminate that politics is a dirty game. Just it depends on how it is handled. That is the reason as to why I am saying that of late, teenagers, they are getting to understand politics. But when we are still, at the teenage stage, we don't used to know much about politics. But of late, a kid of 10 years can even analyze as narrate for you about politics. And this one brings me to what is happening right now in areas, because we are left with, we continue to think that we are left
15
with,
months.
15 months, very few
We're
months,
counting down.
for the game to officially kickstart ASC commence. How are these ruling leaders, how are they preparing ahead of the encounter? We are now using football terms. So there is a lot which is happening right now. Like we have said, you need to handle it in a good way, both the masses and also the leaders. You need to handle it in a good way. How are you going to convince your voters is one thing, of course, you have to look at. We gave an example on some of the leaders distributing salt, what money. Is that one the way how you are going to build ahead of the upcoming season is one thing, of course, you need to look at. You don't need to look at your opponent as a stranger to you. Just build on your manifestos. How are you going to strategize it? What message can you pass to the public? Are you only going to like incoming competitor and also ruling competitor? Are you going to distribute money, salt, what soaps? Is that the strategy you are going to utilize? Or else for you are going to build on the message?
You know, Benson, talking about donation of salt, bars, really, it paints an image of how monetarized our politics is. And the monetization of our politics really means a lot, because it is going to put away people who are poor. Benson, if you're poor today, nobody's going to be listening to you, because people want, at the end of the day, after you talk to them, you will see this moving. Benson, try to go and organize any meeting within your areas and let them hear that you're a politician. As you're just beginning your talk, paper and pen already circulating. People already writing their names, because at the end of the day, they expect Ambandudiri. Yeah. And if you leave without paying money, next time they will not come for your city. I have one politician whose name I don't want to mention, went somewhere and really collected one. Today, up now, people are still demanding. And he told them, I'm going to bring them money. But up to now, it has stayed for years, and people are still demanding for this politician to come back. And
also another funny story is a politician. There was a time who was narrating for us a story. When it reaches to the period of campaigns, there are dramatic encounters. That is, he was carrying, people were carrying her, and her manager came that after them dropping you down, you need to pay them something small. Okay. Next time, they will carry you and they drop you down. So these people...
Very sad scenarios.
Right now, these politicians, they are cooking their minds on the tactics they can be able to employ so that they surpass their opponent. So your strategy, your tactics
matters.
It may work for you and it may not work for you. When they carry you, when they mention your name, they are mentioning money. So it's true.
They expect something small at the end of the day.
To me, 80% politics is all about money. You don't have money in your pocket, don't go for politics. However much brilliant you are when it comes to speeches.
And if you have money, you're not sure of winning, please do not go into politics. Money, because Benson, really, somebody was telling me of how people who aspire in politics die immediately after elections. I'm trying to also really believe in that.
Yeah,
make an assessment, make an observation, more so for those key positions like members of parliament. After elections, you always see candidates dying. After 2 or 3 months, a candidate is dying. After 2 years, the candidate dies because of stress. Because they have really invested a lot of money in that, but when they fail to get it back, because sometimes people think politics is business.
That one.
So after reinvesting a lot of money, when they fail to get back,
do you know what?
Of stress, people are dying.
That one describes the other part of it you mentioned, politics being a dirty work. That is where the point now comes
monetization.
And it is you as the politician who turns it to be as a dirty game. So that's why we are discussing, in 2 minutes, we are discussing about the tactics you have to employ. Like you have said, I have loved the way how you have described it. If you have money and you know that you cannot be able to go through,
don't go and waste that money there. Because you may end up dying of stress. Because that is why you are seeing people are dying of sickness. And usually after elections, Benson, you see some of these candidates falling sick. Because they have really wasted a lot of money and the stress always comes in. And they expect. And the bad part of it is that people who are always around them keep on giving them hope. And don't worry, we have already won. We are winning. And this is what some of the agents do. And you know that after the elections, Benson, even the agent did not vote for you.
It is always
Very quite sad.
Because the voting is done in a secret manner. I may praise you at the end. I don't vote for
Benson,
you.
there's a candidate who lost in his village, and the kind of votes he got are actually less than his family members, meaning some of his family members did not even vote for him. Can you imagine?
And also another, you know, there is always fun in our soul. We need to also tell viewers that we have fun in our soul. There was a time, just in a space of one day in my village, two politicians came for campaign. The other one came immediately after her leaving. Another one came. Then there were some people, the name of the other one who came first was still fresh in their mind. Instead of praising the current one, they started praising the other one. So
who left?
You look at this kind of sagas, and of course there you can even collapse. Instead of saying Farsi Oye,
they are saying Benson Oye. So I think politics is really a dirty game. Let's be careful as we are heading in that period, because we're just counting about 15 months. So for those who are intending and also eyeing some of these positions, definitely Benson, they must be very much ready for the outcomes, because the outcomes may not be in their favor. But all in all, we say leadership comes from God. If you make it, thank God. If you don't make it, still thank God, because usually we say leadership comes from God. And as Muslims, we believe that your leader who is now was actually already in the plans of God. Actually, God had say that this will be
fun for the viewers. Then people who are there, people who are now mentioned the other party, the name of the politician who are there. They were pulled aside. People started mocking. You are spoiling business for us. At the end, they will not give us.
So it is business.
So it's like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Benson, let's leave that story aside. Now let's look at what's happening elsewhere. Joel Senyu, the leader of opposition parliament, has demanded for urgent action that is on Kampala's waste disposal, and that is one thing really, Benson, we are seeing as a crisis. And remember today, when you talk about issues of garbage, you really run your mind. Definitely cannot skip off the incident that happened in Chitezi, the tragic incident where people died. And now the leader of opposition parliament, that is Joel Senyu, has called on for the Uganda government to urgently address the worsening waste management crisis in Kampala. And he made the remarks while speaking before parliament, and he highlighted the closure of the Chitezi landfill, which has left also really the capital, that's the Kampala capital city, without a proper waste disposal site, resulting that is invisible heaps of also collected garbage throughout the city. And that's one thing we did see happening in there. But
trying to sit down to address the matter of garbage. The issue of waste is also at the peak. That means government, of course, will have to act quickly to see that these two matters, of course, will have to be addressed, because at the end of everything, the effects, the overall effect will be on masses, because these two things, what I know is, will affect that iconic area, because Kampala region is an iconic area when it comes to development, when it comes to dangerous acts of things. What I can say in combination is waste management in combination with the garbage management. This is something the government will have to look upon.
that is a priority, of course, we need to also really work on, because if you look at the population, most of the local governments, issue of garbage is indeed becoming a challenge, and we have seen garbage also really causing rampage and causing havoc where people have lost lives. So I think to avoid such ugly scenarios, the local leaders and the other leaders in general must unite and address the issue of garbage. And best we really leave that story aside. And now, as we're running out of time, recently Premson is celebrating his birthday, and many people were actually waiting for his birthday message. And now he has come out to reveal his birthday message wish. And what is that? Now the president, His Excellency Museveni, has revealed his birthday wish just days after clocking 80 years. And Museveni will celebrate another year of his life on Sunday and spend the day at the Thanksgiving ceremony held at Kijaguzo Catholic Parish, that is in Nakaseke district in the Greater Luero, and organized by the Minister for Luero Triangle, that is Alice Kaboyo. The ceremony was attended by the first family, the clergy, and other dignitaries, and that is where we did see Prem Museveni also really celebrating his birthday. And now he has come out on his X platform to post that Museveni also revealed that he had been asked by his well-wishers to reveal his birthday message wish, and the trend he claims was within him in there now. And that's what is really the message he said. And now to rectify the matter raised by the well-wishers, Museveni in his X post revealed that his birthday wish was the realization of the dream of the Pan-Africanists for the creation of the East African Political Federation and the consolidation of the continental free trade area. What do you think about this?
The question is that one the message people were expecting from him? You know, I might be having my own perception, my own aspect, my own message to be delivered. Maybe people were expecting something different from him. Clocking 80 years, people might have been expecting something political-wise, I should say. I'm just giving an example. Now, I'm 80 years, so this is going to be my last term. People maybe might have been expecting something like that. Maybe his plans in the near future. So those are the things maybe people might have been expecting from him.
Okay.
So what I can say is, anyway, that is celebrating the birthday is something not political, but people look at him as a political figure, iconic figure in
the chairman of NRM,
yeah,
and the president of the Republic of
Uganda.
Uganda.
That is the reason I was on the other way driving the birthday message to be in a political way. Yeah.
So Benson, as we are running out of time, I remember this week Matigere University has already set the dates. That is for the 75th graduation ceremony. What reminder do you have about your graduation? But that's where you will be also answered later. But Makerere University has set January 13th, that is of next year, to hold its 75th graduation ceremony according to the 24/25 academic also timelines for the academic registrar's office, seen by journalists also. Professor Buinza Makadasi said all colleges and schools are expected to display what we call graduation list of their perspective, also notice boards in there. And according to Professor Mukadasi, all graduation lists are supposed to be submitted to the academic registrar's office by October 4th of this year. That means January is when we shall be seeing another graduation for Makerere University.
January is not very far, it's actually at the door. What is only remaining is for the graduates to prepare, and also for the lecturers to prepare, plus the other leaders in the university, because the universities, I should say in these universities, because they are being divided into sub-universities, they only need to prepare something. When someone talks about graduation, it comes with the pleasure. It's all
excitement.
About the excitement and the happiness. The pressure part of it is also there.
On the finals.
Finals, you need to perform very well. Secondly, of course, it is also at a fee. Those are the things, but something called the graduation is always with the pleasure and with the excitement. That's what I can say.
You know what reminds me of the graduation is, you talked about both excitement and pressure. Based on the excitement is that you are finally getting done with school. But there's another school after school. Usually there's an artist who says to look for a job is indeed another job. That is Bad Character Monopoly in one of these songs that I can also quote him on. He said to get a job is really another job. But that is where sometimes the pressure comes on. And that means for those who are graduating, the world is actually dynamic. As you're coming out, remember that also really, there are a lot of opportunities as well, because many people may be scared for nothing. But we're saying all in all, come out and also really be creative, because the available jobs may not be there to accommodate everybody. That's where you should be able to strategize on areas where you can really adjust where necessary. And that is one advice really I feel I would be able to give my fellow brothers and sisters who are yet graduating. Because if you look at the graduation ceremony, in most cases it comes with a lot of pressure, because sometimes people want to get jobs immediately after finishing. Others want to buy cars and build houses immediately after finishing. That's where we see some of the people ending up in corruption, in other bad activities. But you're saying we wish them all the best. If you look at January, right now the pressure will be on missing marks. Secondly, on research, internships. This is where the finalists are now on pressure. Based on the pressure, usually within this period is actually quite tense. But we are saying all in all, you must finish the works and graduate. Yeah. And expect thousands to graduate in this graduation ceremony, because if you look at Makerere University, they are graduating thousands every year. Look at the different universities. Makerere University Business School is part of Makerere University. They will be graduating within the same period for the different campuses, because they have campuses across the entire country. There are branches in Arua, Barara, and that's why. So all this will be getting, and these are producing learners in numbers. What would be your message to them?
Yeah, the thanks all is much. You have actually analyzed them. The pressure of looking for work is there. The pressure of you finishing tuition fee is there. The pressure of also graduation fee. The pressure of making sure that you perform very well in research. So many things. But at the end, what you only need to do is you need to be calm. You cannot pressurize yourself when it comes to looking for job. I like the idea you actually brought. When the best is not yet available, the available becomes the best. What is that available thing?
Anything that can bring money.
Yeah,
being
creative. And there is a common term people always use, hustling. How do you hustle it? Hustling comes in different ways. You can hustle in that way, but that's not what we are saying that you should do. What you can only do is do something that can be able to earn something for you.
Okay. Now, Benson, as we are remaining with very few minutes to summarize the entire discussion on what's happening in the world of sports, remember the Cup for Bimu, or what we call the King's Cup, is back. And today we shall be seeing this officially commencing. That's at the Luo grounds, where we shall be seeing the Allure of Uganda taking on the Allure of Congo. And this will be taking place at Luo grounds starting at 4 p.m. And MTN Uganda has joined the Allure Kingdom in organizing this. And we are going to be seeing that also happening under the theme that is promoting positive parenting to end teenage pregnancy and early childhood marriage. We are following up on this, and we hope also you can also share your edition also in relation to the 7th edition and last edition you were there. And what do you really, and how do you also pay the image ahead of this King's Cup that is returning?
And there is one thing I've loved about the Greater Allure region. They have started impressing sports a lot, and I would like the other sub-regions to start impressing what they are doing right now, impressing sports. And each and every time they organize a tournament like this, there is always a very big theme behind the tournament, like the one you have just mentioned, ending teenage pregnancy, early child marriages. And that theme alone describes a lot about the tournament itself. The theme, actually the gospel, they are preaching in the tournament matters, and at the same time, they are actually nurturing talent. And also one thing I love about them is they don't only prioritize in boys football. It's both ladies football and also the boys football. It's something I think they are trying to build on that culture of impressive sports. That's what I want to say.
Okay, our team is already on ground, and we shall be giving you that broadcast of what is happening in lower grounds. Come also the time, because from 3 p.m. that's when we shall be seeing these games kicking off. And this is at low grounds. We shall be keeping you informed, and as the viewer, stay tuned. That is to watching West Nile TV. We shall be giving you all the details in our subsequent programs. That's of the news bulletins, where our team will be giving you exactly what's happening that side of the Greater Allure. And now talking about what's happening in the Southern Uganda Premier League, Benson. Of course, the leagues are back. We have also seen some games already being played, where KC was able to beat URA by 1-0, and this was on Friday. We were able to already see Kitara beating new entrants, that's Lugazi, by 3-0, and that's where we did see also Wakiso Giants drawing with Sojilo Bright Stars in some of the first games being played, where Maroons was able to solely hold UPDF to a 1-all goal draw, and Net Football Club surprisingly beating Viper Sports Club by 3-1, where Villa also returned back to winning ways. The defending champions of this season, that is Sports Club Villa, returning back to winning ways by beating Barara City by 4-2, but as well as Police was able to be also held, that is by Bull Football Club, to a goalless draw, where Express Football Club was able also to beat Mbali Heroes, a new entrant, also by 2-1 in there. But tomorrow, we shall be seeing games also happening, where we shall be seeing UPDF taking on Lugazi, where Kitara also will be taking on Net Football Club. Viper Sports Club will be taking on Express, another interesting game, where Barara City also will be still taking on Police, another also interesting game. Bull Football Club will be playing, that's KC on Friday. Maroons will be playing Wakiso Giants on Friday also as well. Bright Stars will be taking on URA on Friday. Mbale Heroes will be playing against Villa, that's on Sunday. What do you think about these games before we get to see what's happening at the Champions League level?
Actually, the first round is, I should say, the new season of Star Times Uganda Premier League is still at the initial stages. The team was host club Villa. The last season started like this. They managed to lift the title. It was a bad omen for Vipers and KC at the start of the season. and Vipers, they have not started it very well, and we'll never know, it may not also end for them very well. KC this time, they have started it with the way. Most of the newly promoted sides, they have started the open games with the draws and defeats. I think it was only Police that impressed in the first game against Bull. Taking a draw is something not easy.
Okay. As per now, Kitara Football Club is on top of the log with 3 points, where Sports Club Villa also only comes in the second place with 3 points. In the Neck Football Club is in the third place, as Express Football Club sits in the fourth position here. That's where we are going to be stopping with the results. More details that will be coming through in our subsequent programs. But Benson, yesterday is men's night. We didn't see Champions League returning. Which game mode made you happy?
Actually, game, in fact, in the new season of Champions League, what has surprised me so much is we have a new increase into UEFA Champions League. Teams that have not been there, they are getting back to Champions League, and at the same time, the strategy, how the strategy, the tactics they have employed in UEFA Champions League of late has created that difference.
Just in 30 seconds, because our time is almost
now,
up.
taking us back to
some of those few kills that's made.
How things transpired. The biggest win was actually between Bayern and Dynamo Zagreb. Hammering team 90 is not an easy thing. Real Madrid, they started the season with a win. And also, so many things. We are out of time. Maybe those details will come in this whole time.
All right, we stop with the discussions here. Up next is the news bulletin Liberty, and our viewer, we thank you so much for watching us. Right from the time we began until this hour of the morning. Once again, thank you so much. Don't take your time for granted, and that is where we are going to be stopping with the discussions for today. For those who may want the results, the whistle time will be coming through from 2 to 3 p.m. where our the Zaga may not be in position, but Linda Susie today will surely be here to sort of give you what's happening in there. But for now, we are stopping here, paving way for the next team to come through. Have a good day.